Yo, what's going on, y'all? Again, I want to appreciate y'all for continuing to tune in, and just praying that the things that I shared are valuable information that you feel seen, that you feel heard, that you feel supported, and of course, it's just encouraging. Just mental health is important. Continue to advocate for that, but just encouraging you on your journey, wherever you may be, whatever you may be experiencing, whatever you may be going through, that you're not alone. I know these battles are challenging, right? But there is light at the end of the tunnel, man. Just don't give up on yourself. And leading into that, man, what we want to talk about today is just the importance of your presence, man. Like you are needed in this world, right? Like you are valuable. Like despite what we may hear, despite what we may think, despite what we may see, and there's a whole bunch of stuff happening on social media, man, that puts men in a negative light. But the reality is that we're needed. So I want to emphasize your presence in this world has value and it's needed. It's needed in our homes. It's needed in our relationships, especially in the lives of our children. And I want to emphasize like your presence more so mentally and emotionally, right? Not just your physical presence, right? Not just you showing up or not just your physical gifts. Being around is not enough, and neither are your gifts, but it's being engaged that's key, right? Your presence and not your sense of dominance, because we have to leave egos aside and not think that just because we're a man, we should be respected just off rip, right? Or just given that because we're entitled to it. It's not that we should be listened to just because we speak, right? And again, going back to my foundation is within scripture and the Christian faith, right? Scripture instructs children to, honor their mothers and their fathers, right? And it says so that your days may be longer. But there's also another scripture, which is in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4, that calls for fathers to not provoke their children to anger, but to bring them up through the training and teachings of the Lord. All right. So that just goes to show that it's not just the fact that you're a man and you're showing yourself, but how you show yourself, right? Being present. And your presence includes how you love, how you pay attention, how you show respect, your positive attitudes, how you can be able to display your emotions in a healthy way, right? Your encouragement, your ability to encourage, your ability to show support, to give support, to demonstrate, your character, wisdom, integrity, and to be able to follow through what you said that you're going to do. Your ability to care, and to empathize, um, and of course, your strength and your ability to nurture those around you, right? Like that encompasses your presence, man. That's what's needed in this world. Because truth be told, and I see this in the counseling space as well, but it's nothing new. And it's essentially that there's too many stories, with adult men and women, and especially our boys and girls who struggle with their identity and their sense of self-worth because of the absence of their father or not having that positive male influence. Right? There's too many narratives and too many real life stories of those who engage in destructive behaviors, have negative thoughts towards themselves, towards the world around them, don't believe in themselves because of their father's absence or just that absence of positive male influences. And these individuals may encounter some identity crisis, not believing that they're worthy of love or walk around believing that they're a mistake. And they may believe that their life is not worth living because they question if the reason why their father isn't there, you know what I mean, is something on them. They question why their father doesn't love them, was there a problem with them? Wondering why he doesn't show up consistently. So the absence of the father or positive male influence, man, is destructive. But the presence of one is constructive. It instills hope. The absence of one leads to trust issues, but the presence of one restores trust. The absence leads to hurt feelings and broken hearts, but the presence, of a father figure, positive male influence is healing. Our absence leads to low self-esteem, questions of worth, but the presence of a positive male figure, of a father figure, leads to validation, empowerment. The absence of a father figure or a father perpetuates that cycle of broken homes, fatherless homes, broken relationships, but the presence of one helps break these cycles. I was looking at a report, and it was by the Office of the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. And it reported that between 1970 and 2023, right, just the proportion of children living with their mothers in single parent households, they increased. And it was from about 7.8% to 16.1% for white youth. And from, this number is astronomical. It's 29.5% to 44.2% for black youth. That's a problem. And for children of Hispanic ethnicity, the proportion living with their mother in single parent households increased from 19.6% to 24.5%. Like overall, just the absence of a father in all homes is wild, man. But especially in our black and brown homes. Like we have to do something about this. I mean, I gotta emphasize more and more, especially in this episode, that your presence matters. Your presence, you are valued, and your presence is needed. So therefore, we have to ask that question, like, what is it that leads to our lack of mental and emotional presence? What stops us from showing up, right? Like, why do we find it hard to stay present? Why do we find ourselves, instead of showing up and embracing the moment and engaging, we find ourselves withdrawing, right? Is it our anxious thoughts? Is it our depressive thoughts? Feeling anxious and overwhelmed by the pressures of life. And again, like we have a lot on our shoulders. So is it the financial responsibilities? Is it work? Is it fearing failure? Right? Like we're afraid to fail. And that may cause us sometimes to not show up the way that we feel that we can or that we believe that we can, right? Because that pressure is so overwhelming, right? Is it our depressive thoughts of not feeling valued? Is it that we find it hard to show up because we hold ourselves prisoner to our worst, moments in our lives? Like we're holding guilt. Is it that we're feeling ashamed, hopeless, and helpless? I'm just putting these questions out there to help you reflect and think whether it's, you and just being honest with yourself experiencing this or just the things that you've heard from others, man, because these are important questions that we all as men have to embrace, right? Is it believing that we can't do better? Or is it even the trauma that we've experienced, right? Is it that we're still hurting? Is it that the things that we've experienced growing up or witnessing our communities, right, have imprisoned our mind and hurt our self-esteem, just hurt our vision and our perspective of the world of what could be, right? And this is why mental health is so important, because whatever it is, we need to start talking about it so that we can continue to push through, to be our best selves and break these cycles. Man, it starts with us getting the help we need, having those tough conversations, accepting and hearing the hard truths about ourselves, holding ourselves accountable, and healing our wounds that either we self-inflicted, you know what I mean, because of our behaviors, right? Or it's just those wounds that have been imposed upon us. Listen, man, like you are needed. Your daughters need you. Your sons need you. Your community needs you. Your wife needs you. Your partner needs you. Bro, you need you, right? You need to be present for yourself, right? So you may be feeling hopeless, man, but you can work on getting your hope restored, right? Like you may be feeling helpless, but you can get help. Bro, we need you. You matter. Your presence matter. Your thoughts matter. Your feelings matter. Your input matters. So let's learn better ways to heal, man. Let's learn better ways to work through our stress, right? Let's learn better ways to love those that we say that we love. Right? And I have to be honest, we may feel and we may believe and know that we love this person or persons, but are we showing it in the most impactful and effective way? And if not, let's learn better ways to do that, right? And it's okay to say, I don't know, and learn. You know what I mean? I've heard in counseling rooms and just stories with other people that I didn't know how to say or express I love you outside of what I'm doing, right? I didn't know how to show this type of love because I never received it growing up. And it's okay to admit that, man, but it's not okay to not do something about it. Right? So let's learn and develop better ways to communicate with those we claim we care about, and treat them and love them, approach them as if we actually love them. And truth be told, man, yes, people around us need to work on some things too. Right? Like it's not just us. I don't want to point the finger at just us, but we have to hold ourselves accountable. And truthfully, like, people go to therapy because those around them don't go to therapy. Right? We know a few people that can automatically come to mind that if they were to get therapy, things around us wouldn't be as difficult. But at the end of the day, we're responsible, you know what I mean, for our feelings, our thoughts. And we have to hold ourselves accountable to how we show up despite the circumstances that are around us. So counseling can help fix broken relationships. Counseling can help heal wounds. And even if there's some relationships in our lives that may seem, as if they're not repairable, that there is no coming back, like, that's okay too. We have boundaries. You have to learn to let people go. We have to learn to accept people where they are, right? Not all people are going to make it and come along with where we're going. But at the end of the day, we have to commit ourselves to working on ourselves so that the hurt that you may feel and that you have experienced doesn't bleed on others, because that's how generational trauma is formed, man. That's how we continue to perpetuate destructive and negative cycles. So no, you might not have created it, but you are responsible for stopping it, right? And it stops with you. So it's important that we heal so that our inner child can heal, and that our future generations that come after us don't have to encounter the pains and the sins of the past. So let's go, big dog. It's on you, man. The buck stops with you. Stay strong, man. I encourage you to take this step. Take this step in your healing journey, man, because we need you. And, I don't want to end this podcast or this episode at all without shouting out those men that's actually those good father figures. You know what I mean? Those big brothers, those mentors, right? Those positive influences that are on the front lines day in and day out. You know what I mean? Stepping in place of those, for their reasons, they're not able to. And I never want to kick another man down or anybody, right? Because we never know what they're experiencing or what they're going through. But I just want to pray for them, encourage them, and just remind them that it's not too late, right? Like, they can still get that help too. But definitely shout out to those that are doing that work, man, because it's important. It changes lives. It stops patterns, right? Like, it's so important, man. And truth be told too, there are fathers out there that really, are striving to be active fathers, but there are mothers out there that stop that process. So shout out to you. Stay encouraged, man. Keep fighting for your children. Keep fighting for your presence, right? Keep fighting for you, right? Because it matters. You know what I mean? And I just want to shout out my own father, that I'm grateful for his presence, for his example growing up, and how he showed up in his marriage and his relationships, man. And it wasn't easy with my mother and my father growing up. And I appreciate their lesson and just being open and honest about their various struggles and difficulties that they had to overcome, not with just parenting, but just being in relationship with each other. But still to stick by each other's side and to love each other. And they're still learning how to love each other, right? Even after the 20 plus years, 30, I forgot. I should know. But it's been a long time that they've been married, right? But my father has been there and showed up with my mother through sickness and health. My mother has battled with breast cancer twice, right? So there's many sacrifices, that my father stuck through. And that's just a demonstration of love, genuine and sincere love, man, of how my father stepped in and continued to protect the family, just growing up on the east side of Buffalo, just the things that we experienced and the things that was around us. He strived to be an example, and to just keep me and my brother, on the right track and safe. And I appreciate that. I remember, in middle school, like, my father somehow, some way made his way into my middle school, had his own office in the school, right, to just work with children. And that's important. And I could not afford to mess up because my father was right there in school. And I didn't like it in the moment. When I look back and reflect on, is that my father fought to remain present, and that's appreciated. And I'm not gonna lie, there were moments where he wasn't there, but that's not because of he didn't want to be, but he had responsibilities. He had a job. He was in the military. He was in the Air Force, right? And growing up as a preacher's kid, so there's so many things and responsibilities that my father, had. And I remember there's one specific moment, man. I played high school football, so I'm not even going to try to put it out there like I was some type of all-star, because I wasn't. Right, I had more highlights in street football than I actually did on my high school football team. But that's besides the point, right? So when I actually played high school, I was on JV more so. I ain't afraid to admit it. It is what it is, right? I never had aspirations going to the league. I accepted my truth. That wasn't my call. But anyway, like, just being on the JV team, there was this one game where I felt like I did shine, and the stats showed that I did shine, and my father wasn't there. Right, I would look in the stands every now and then after a play, especially after a big play, and they're like, he wasn't there. And it's not because he didn't want to be there. We just had other responsibilities, but just that absence in those moments hurt, right? And that's where it goes to just like the presence of a father and a positive male figure, man. It plays such a big role on somebody's sense of self-worth, of identity, of love, right? Just that reassuring factor, and just that reassuring voice. And then the fact that I was able to at least talk to him about it. I'm grateful for that. I don't take that for granted. I'm grateful for, my father's demonstration in his faith. Again, just growing up as a PK preacher's kid, and when he became a pastor, I seen what it means to step out on faith and really trust God. Right? I wouldn't be here without, you know, his input, man. He helped create that moral compass that I had. I'm far from perfect, but he showed me an example that was good enough for me to know when and where to hold myself accountable, understanding and knowing that I was raised better, that I seen better. And most importantly, I'm accountable to God, right? And I don't take that lightly. For all my mistakes, I'm grateful for his forgiveness, his mercy. Um, because I'm not perfect. So with my father's influence and many other men that have poured into me, I want to say thank you for those that mentored me within the community church, within college, even my fraternity brothers. Yo to the Noops. Happy Founders Day to y'all. To us, so I just try to pay it forward. It's not easy out here, coming into manhood, day in and day out, still feeling like you're under attack. Like I truly believe that there is an attack on men, especially black men. So, I want, brothers that are listening to this to, stay encouraged. And I even encourage you to embrace those male figures who's helped you along the way, right? Embrace those gentlemen, who was your voice of reason, who was your inspiration, who was your positive influence. You know what I mean? Because we all need somebody. I don't believe in that self-made, type talk. Like there has always been somebody or some type of influence that's helped us and encouraged us. So I encourage you to embrace those men around you. Most importantly, it's important that we keep holding ourselves accountable. Not only just that, but also encourage each other, empower each other. And most importantly, encourage yourself. There's many things that you're doing, right? That's not always noticed, right? There's many things that you're doing that's not always appreciated, called out, or valued. But you have to see it and you have to appreciate it. So stay encouraged, stay engaged, stay present, because we need you, bro. Keep pushing. We need you. Go to counseling, get that help. You know what I mean? Stick with those positive influence, have those positive conversations. It's never too late. You're not too old and you're not too young, but your presence is needed and you're valued in this world. All right. Stay blessed. So again, I hope that, again, this episode encourages you, inspires you, and that you do take something from it that you can pass along to other brothers out there that close to you. You know what I mean? That may be going through. Right. So I hope that you like, share, subscribe. Also, this on YouTube. So follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, at Black Men Embracing Feelings. So stay tuned to more episodes. And outside of that, stay encouraged, be blessed. We'll talk soon.